What's up everybody, welcome back to a brand new video on Lex Alexas. Today it is our first within our score predictions this year, but we're going to do our mid-week predictions. So you would have seen a couple of days ago I made my score predictions. We're moving straight on to the mid-week predictions. No breaks. We're going to really get the acceleration now within the championship season. It's game week 7. Game week 6 was unbelievable, and I'm going to briefly talk about it within me predicting all of these games today. And honestly, make sure you get your predictions as well in the comments down below so you guys can have a chance to enter for Let's Alexas Football Prediction League, which will be given an update as soon as possible. I'm still trying to catch up with all the points. If you guys enjoyed this series, please smash the like button, as it will definitely keep this series going. I really appreciate the support that you've given on this series so far this year. Please do hit that subscribe button too, all that really helps too, and please also share the channel too. All these tiny little things are free to do, and they really do help the growth of this channel. But without any further ado, let's start going through my predictions for game week 7. Let's start off with Bristol City going up against Plymouth. Both teams failed to win a couple of days ago. Bristol City were held at home against West Brom to a 0-0 draw in the end. Not really much separated the two. It looked like that Bristol City had the edge within the first half, and then it was very much rivering West Brom's storm and to see if they can hold on to a draw. So I think Bristol City were a bit disappointed that they kind of let the control slip within the second half. Plymouth, for what I can see with their football, they are playing some really positive stuff, but they will definitely feel disappointed how quickly they conceded against Preston. To go 1-0 down under a minute is never a good sign for any team with a lack of organisation. And ultimately, they just had too much to do in the end. They actually looked alright, I felt, in the second half. Ryan Hardy getting the consolation goal for Plymouth, and they only ended as a 2-1 defeat to them. But these sorts of games could really make the difference, and just with a bit of organisation, that could have been a 1-1 draw other than a 2-1 defeat. So Plymouth, I think going into this game, they need to be better on the road. They have really struggled to pick up points on the road. They've only picked up 1 point on the road so far this season, which was a 0-0 draw to Watford. A prediction here, I think Bristol City may be the slight favourites, but honestly, I could see Plymouth actually frustrating Bristol City here. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I don't think much will separate these two sides. I think they'll draw a blank. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. The next game to predict is Cardiff going up against Coventry. This prediction I've changed so much because honestly, I think both teams could have a chance to win in this game. What I did see within Coventry when they drew 1-1 to Hull a couple of days ago is that stats-wise, Hull did quite a fair bit more attacking than what Coventry did, but Coventry were able to get something out of with them not having the ball just as much as the opposition there. So that tells me when they do have the ball, they are dangerous with it. But having said that, they need to create more out of it, in my honest opinion there. Cardiff, on the other hand, they are looking very confident. They had a brilliant South Wales derby win over Swansea. They're first in, I think, in the last 5 meetings against this Swansea side. So Cardiff do look very up for it so far. And I do think their performances have actually turned a bit of a positive corner. And this is going to be interesting now to see the very short turnaround, because obviously they played a little bit later than Coventry. Coventry actually played the day before, so Coventry have got an advantage with a little bit more of a resting time. But having said that, I think with the individual performers and how confident they are right now, I think Cardiff might be the team that edged this game here. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Cardiff. I think a lot of the time I do underestimate Cardiff and how good they can be if everything all goes to plan. Coventry, without a shadow of a doubt, could definitely get something, you know, with them drawing 4 games in a row. As of now, I think the most obvious result will be a draw, but I almost feel like in a way that's too obvious, and I definitely don't want to try and go on form too much. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Cardiff this time around. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Preston going up against Birmingham. Now, had Birmingham won their game against Watford, this would have been a top of the table clash, which would have been absolutely crazy. So, Preston are still top of the league because they beat Plymouth by 2-1. They got the job done eventually just with the first half performance. In the second half, they really just, allowed Plymouth to maybe grow into it, but just, were able to make sure that Plymouth didn't get enough to get back into it. And whilst they did concede one goal, it was enough for Preston to hold on. Birmingham, they lost out against Watford. Now, definitely some controversial decisions, including the red card decision of Lee Buchanan there. And ultimately, when Buchanan was sent off, within, I think, 2 minutes later, Watford opened the scoring, and then it just got from bad to worse, really. It really wasn't Birmingham's day at all, because I actually think they did perform quite well in those circumstances. And just ultimately, on another day, Birmingham can get a result here. So when Preston faced Birmingham last year, I actually remember this, because this was when Preston was still going on this incredible clean sheet run where they were just not conceding goals. And then Birmingham turn up, and then they completely ruin things for Preston. Birmingham are a very tricky team for Preston in recent years. As a prediction here, I was tempted to go for a Birmingham win to really throw things off, but I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw and just play it a little bit safe, because I do think Preston have actually found a way to get consistent results at this moment in time. But let me know what you think about in the comments down below. Next game today is QPR versus Swansea. So both teams could really do for 3 points here. Both teams lost in the weekend. QPR, they lost against Sunderland by 3-1. They did lead against Sunderland, but ultimately a red card to Jack Colback really made things very, very difficult, especially with it being a first half red card and Sunderland just having so much stoppage time added onto that game as well. Just really gave them just a large enough window of opportunity to really take the sting out of QPR, and eventually they did. They let their quality shine through, and it was one of those games again where I actually sympathised a little bit for QPR. For Swansea, I am getting a little bit worried that there's a real lack of quality within them taking their chances, but especially defensively, they do look a little bit all over the place. They do look quite disjointed and a little bit confused with what they are doing. They've been integrated within this Russell Martin style of football, but now it's all changed. Naturally it's really going to make a couple of the more experienced heads a little bit more confused with changing styles so drastically. QPR, I actually think, are the favourites going into this game, because I think performance wise they've been a lot better, in my honest opinion, for Swansea, which is crazy for me to say. And as a prediction here, I'm going to back that based on their recent performances. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory. I think Sinclair Armstrong especially has looked really, really promising. And if he can definitely deliver at a very similar level that he did last time, then he could definitely be one of the players that will drag QPR over the line here. So I am going to go for a 2-1 victory to QPR. Let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. Next game to predict is a game I'm really nervous to predict, but I'm actually quite excited for. Southampton versus Ipswich. I do know a couple of people from my work who will be going all the way to Southampton to see this game. Both teams with contrasting results last weekend. Southampton losing again. It's back-to-back defeats on them now. And what's worse, it is 9 goals conceded in their last 2 games. And Southampton have officially conceding the most goals in the league, with over 15 goals conceded already this season, which is insane. They're averaging 2.5 goals conceded a game, which is mad to say the least, really, to be honest. Ipswich, they managed to win again away from home, a clean sheet against Sheffield Wednesday, where I do think they were better than Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday didn't have a shot on target at home, so Ipswich did a good job limiting that, but I do think Ipswich do want to try and kill teams off a little bit more effectively. I see this game actually being a bit similar to the Sunderland game for Ipswich. I think Southampton will dominate on the ball, and I think Ipswich could struggle with that. But Ipswich have been known to actually counter-attack teams quite well, and we saw how effectively they did it against Sunderland, and to an extent they did it quite well against Leeds United as well. So as a prediction in this game, I'm actually going to back another Ipswich win, which I think is quite dangerous. But I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory to Ipswich. I think they might squeak a result out of it. I think Southampton at this moment in time, whilst they should really use this game to try and prove people wrong and say, they're going to be a great team this year, But at the same time, I think there are going to be some teething problems with that back line. Let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. Next game today is Sheffield Wednesday versus Middlesbrough. Now, this is a bottom of the table clash right now. Both Sheffield Wednesday and Middlesbrough are 2 of the 3 teams still looking for their first win within the Championship, with Swansea being the only other team looking for their first win. Any of these team wins, it will be absolutely huge for their season. Sheffield Wednesday poor again against Ipswich this time around. No shots on target at home is never a good look for them. For Middlesbrough's sake, I mean, it's another one of these games again where defensively they're just conceding way too many chances. They lost against Blackburn this time around, and a little bit similar to the Plymouth situation, they gave themselves too much to do in too little time, and ultimately, whilst Middlesbrough did grow into it, they just didn't have enough within them to get something out of it. And there's already some really big pressure on both of these clubs. I feel like if any of these clubs lose this game, I think it really puts their manager in contention of being the first manager to be dismissed, although there could be another one who could be dismissed before that, which I'll talk about in a minute. A prediction here, I back Middlesbrough's attacking quality more for Sheffield Wednesday's right now. I'm going to go for... Oh, this is tricky, you know. This is trickier than I thought. I thought I was set in stone with my prediction, but I'm not. I'm going to go for a 3-1 away victory to Middlesbrough. I've got a sneaky feeling if Middlesbrough score first, I think they can actually have a really great game here. But if Sheffield Wednesday score first, then that'll make things very, very interesting within that regard. But for some strange reason, I think things will start to click for Middlesbrough here. I think Sheffield Wednesday are going to really struggle. So I'm going to go 3-1 Middlesbrough. Let me know what you think within the comments down below. Next game to predict is Blackburn versus Sunderland. So Tony Mowbray is visiting Ewood Park once again. Sunderland really improving their form now, and they're really starting to climb up that table. It's 3 wins in a row for this Sunderland team as well. And not only are they winning, and getting winning streaks, but they're winning convincingly. 2-goal margin against Rotherham, a 5-goal margin against Southampton, and another 2-goal margin against QPR. They are not only winning, but they're blowing teams away. Their momentum is right up there right now, and I'm really, really happy that Sunderland looked like that they found that momentum that they were looking for, because they were struggling at the start of the season. Blackburn is a peculiar side, to say the least, but they are winning enough games at home especially. I think their home form could really prove to be a very crucial part of their form this season. But against this Sunderland side, for the way that they're playing right now, attacking-wise, I'm going to be very difficult to back anything else but a Sunderland win, to be honest. That's a prediction. I'm actually going to go for a 2-1 victory to Sunderland. Have a little bit more confidence with their attacking line. I think Blackburn, whilst they will show some quality, I think the overall depth of Sunderland will shine through here. Let me know what you think of that within the comments down below. Next game today is Huddersfield Stoke. Now, this is the occasion where I'm talking about another manager who could potentially go. So, Neil Warnock addressed his future quite recently on BBC. And there were some definite rifts within the relationship between him and the new owner, and I feel like if there's going to be rifts starting to form, then ultimately it's the manager that's going to be chucked out over the shareholders, sadly. So Neil Warnock looking like that he may be on his way out. I don't think he will leave before this game. It would be crazy if he did, but either way, you know, if Huddersfield are going to have to look for a new manager, they've got to have to be really, really quick, because it's only been now where Huddersfield look like that they've kind of found their feet a little bit. They've won back-to-back games now, so they're now looking a little bit more comfortable, but it's no guarantee that they'll stay out of the relegation picture. They really need someone to steady the ship and to lead them to more confidence. You know, the likes of Sorba Thomas scoring for Huddersfield against Rotherham, you know, was like a real blast of the past. It made me think, you know what, this time around 2 years ago from this day, we were talking about Huddersfield, you know, being right up there in the table and Sorba Thomas being in contention of winning Player of the Month. You know, I think Neil Warnock is starting to get the form back from these Huddersfield players like Karoma and Thomas, where they were definitely very inconsistent last year. Stoke definitely have been very inconsistent so far this season, which has just been very typical of what their season has been since getting relegated from the Premier League, to be honest. Away from home, I do think Stoke need to really, really improve here. But they are facing a Huddersfield team where they have struggled to pick up points as a whole. They did win their first home game, of course, Huddersfield against Rotherham. But I do think Stoke will pose a bigger threat than Rotherham, and I think it will make it very tricky for them. I'm already seeing Vidigal definitely ghosting in that back line and gaining a lot of joy. As a prediction, I'm actually going to go for a rare away win for Stoke, a 2-0 away win. And I think if Stoke score early, I think it will definitely confirm that Stoke will win quite comfortably, and that's what I think will happen. So I think Stoke will score early and win by 2-0. Let me know what you think within the comments down below. Next game to predict is Hull versus Leeds United. Two teams, but I would actually say have started quite well so far this season. Hull City, performance-wise, have looked quite well, and I would definitely think statistically, I actually think with more shots, more corners, more possession, they did look quite a tiny bit better than Coventry. I don't think much better to the point where they would have been disappointed not to win, but I do think they are dictating matches a lot better with a lot more authority than they have been normally. And I think against this Leeds side, it's going to be very difficult against this Leeds side right now because they're full of confidence. I think the squad is a lot more settled with the summer transfer window closing now as well. And ultimately, I think what we'll see with relegated teams now that there's no transfer window to potentially throw things off, the only thing that could disrupt the flow of the team is if any key players get injured. As a prediction, if I'm seeing the same Leeds that I saw just now against Millwall, where they completely blew them away attacking-wise, I actually think they can beat Hull there. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 3-1 away victory to Leeds. I think Leeds are now starting to pick up some good form, and ultimately I'm going to back that here. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Millwall-Rotherham. This is a big game, I think, for both sides. Millwall started pretty slowly so far this season. Have picked up a couple of good wins, as you know, Stoke especially I think has been a good one, but really, other than that, some poor defeats they've had in there as well. 3-1 loss to Norwich, but also a 3-0 loss to Leeds. They are getting pretty battered by the teams expected to finish high up the table. And typically, they would get a shock result against any of those sides. But they're not really having that same success with that so far this season. And it's definitely something that Gary Rowett has to address as soon as he can. Rotherham, it was a poor defeat for them to lose against a relegation rival in Huddersfield Town, and unfortunately for them, I think because they did create a little bit, I think Huddersfield created a little bit more, but it's not like Rotherham didn't create, they just weren't clinical. And I think if Rotherham are especially not clinical in this game, then I think Millwall will win this game pretty comfortably in my opinion. As a prediction here, I think Millwall could look at this game as a chance of redemption, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory to Millwall. I think they'll only just edge out within this game, but I think it'll be very tight actually. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. We're going to the final two games. Let's go to Watford versus West Brom next. Watford left it light, but they beat Birmingham by 2-0. Very patient play in their build up there. It was actually pretty neck and neck between the two until we did get an opening with the red card, and Watford ultimately pounced on it there. West Brom, they drew a blank against Bristol City. They did look a little bit more dangerous in that second half, but again, teething problems, finding the ball in the back of the net is really going to cause West Brom some problems this year. I do think this game as a whole is going to be very low scoring. I don't think there's going to be a lot going out of it. So therefore, as a prediction, I only think there will be one goal. And I think I'll edge Watford as of now. I've got a bit more faith in them. I'm going to go for a 1-0 victory to Watford. And Valerian Ismail will get a result against his former managed club. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. The final game to predict, I think is the game I'm most looking forward to, is Norwich versus Leicester. I mean, Southampton Ipswich is already huge, but Norwich-Leicester, oh my word, this is a big game. So, Norwich managed to pick up a result against Stoke City, a pretty routine 1-0 win in the end. And they're still finding ways to do so and to get these wins without Josh Sargent in the squad, which I think is just as remarkable for Norwich. It is showing the amount of squad depth that they really do have within that squad. And to keep a clean sheet as well, you know, is really good going. It does tell me that they are trying to work on with their back line, and I've got to give credit for Jack Stacey getting the goal as well. With Leicester, undoubtedly their most standout win so far this season, not only to win 4-1 as a whole, but to do it against your relegation rivals from the Premier League is such a monumental moment for them. It does really give them bragging rights there. And considering Southampton beat them twice last year, it was a really nice result for Leicester, I felt. I think with Vardy scoring 27 seconds in, I think it really did set the tone that Southampton defensively were all over the place and not able to play out from the back at all. But Leicester were really good pressing-wise. Mavedivi, what a player he's turning out to be so far this season. And I think we're seeing a really good core squad that will be huge for this championship season. It's got full of quality and depth. And I think Leicester are really going to be a difficult team to stop. So, predicting this game, I think is really tough because I think Norwich, in terms of attacking wise, I think they are up there with Leeds potentially as the best attacking side in the league. But then we're also seeing Leicester now starting to get more goals. You know, we've been waiting for Leicester to win a game convincingly and blow a team away, and they've done it officially for the first time. Is this going to be a continuous effect now that we see Leicester starting to churn up with more confidence? I think for me, I see both teams cancelling each other out. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw, but if I had to pick one team to more likely win, I think Leicester, because I think they've got a stronger starting 11 as of now. But I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw because I think it's going to be a very unpredictable game and it'll be a very typical game for the championship. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. So guys, these are my mid-week predictions concluded now. If you guys enjoyed the video, please smash the like button. It really does help the growth of this channel. Please do hit the subscribe button too, also free to do. That also really helps the growth of this channel at the moment as we're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. It'd be absolutely amazing if we can eventually get there. If you want to follow me on my socials, they're also down there as well. So you can also drop me a follow there in case you wish to as well. And if you share this video as well, all of these things are free to do and it'll just help me get out there just that tiny little bit more and see what we're all about, and we can increase the friendly community that is the Let's Leicesters community. So thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you saw me in this video, and as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care everyone.